Hey, welcome everyone for today's session on Canaries. Just give me 1 minute. Let me put the presentation in full screen mode. Okay. First of all, I'd like to thank the Aviculture Association of Kerala for giving me this opportunity to present about Canaries. So, without any further delay, let's get straight into the topic. I'll be giving a small introduction about myself, about canaries, what are the different mutations that are available in India, basically. How do we sex canaries? And what's the best practices to be followed when you are about to purchase a canary? The regular deworming schedule that people follow. What is the housing requirements that are required? Feeding and caring, you should always practice to make sure that your canaries are healthy and active. I'll be explaining in detail on the breeding process, step by step, on how to get started and what are the various stages that are involved, and how to care for chicks. And we'll be also touching about on some common diseases that I've noticed frequently with canaries, and then the do's and don'ts. Feel free if you have any questions. I think there is a list of questions that you guys have already sent me. So I'll be, we'll some of those are already covered, but for the ones that haven't been covered, and at the end of the session, we can have a quick Q&A to, discuss those. So about me, my name is Mohan. I'm based out of Chennai. So I've been in the aviculture field for close to 9 years now. My specializations are mostly canaries and finches, and I've been breeding canaries for almost. To be honest, I started off with canaries, and then now I have finches along with my canaries. To start off with, and I try and breed close to 20 to 25 varieties of finches, and close to 8 to 10 varieties of canaries, whatever is available today. So that's the quick intro about myself. So about canaries, right? Canaries, though they look bigger than our regular finches, they are part of the finch family. Their technical name is Serinus canaria, and they're native to a small, I would say, a small group of places that they started with, from Canary Island, Madeira, and Azores. So why did people own canaries? There is a interesting fact about this. The thing that attracted canaries with more people was their beautiful singing. And at that, to the early stages when canaries were introduced, it was quite expensive, and it was once called a rich man's bird, and not everybody can own it. And due to their popularity, they got transported into Europe and to the other parts of the world. And but the basic you know y- purpose of having a cannery was also, people who work in coal mines used to detect the fumes based on the canary's reaction. And it used to be like how we used the lab, rats and mice for testing. They used to keep canaries to kind of alert them, or based on their reaction, they'll be able to understand if there is a toxic fume that is available in the coal mines. And we all know of the famous character of Tweety in Looney Tunes, which is which was derived from these canaries. I don't want to go on the specific overview. This the common name, everybody knows what it is, and I touched upon the scientific names. Their size differs based on the quality, kind of breeds. The quality of birds that we breed derives and depends on, decides upon the outcome of the actual birds. Life expectancy, you can
Mohan,
expect.
are you there? We lost audio.
Hey, can you hear me now? Hey, can people hear me?
Yes, sir, we can hear you. We can hear you.
We
Okay.
can hear you, Mon. Go ahead.
Oh, sorry. Okay, I thought. Okay. So, our Canaries are expected to live anywhere between 5 and 15, but typically I would say, what, I've not seen a bird that has reached its full lifespan and died because of the old age or something. I've seen birds that I've got from some of my friends that are close to 10 years, and they're still doing good. It completely depends on the feed, the way you keep them. So, types of canaries that we find in India, that there are a lot of canaries. There are people that are creating new mutations. You have some latest additions to the canary, the family called lizard canaries and whatnot. There are people try and create different kind of mutations. I want to touch base on the common ones that are found in India. Basically, the yellow canary, which is what everybody starts off with. They are quite easily available around, is what I can say. Then the red factor canary, which I think most of them love, because it's something that people really would like to get their hand on. Red factor, which is something that is also a crazy between canary fanciers. Crested and green canaries. I think of lately I'm seeing some a mixture of crested and greens. And the new arrivals, right? I would say I've been itching to get a canary, a Gloucester canary, and I managed to get one around 4 or 5 years back, and I just got a male. I didn't have a proper female to breed them with, so I kind of paired them with the normal to see what happens, and I landed up getting some normal crested canaries. But I guess at that point in time in India, we had only very few availability of canaries that were around. I mean, Gloucester canaries I'm referring to, and agates are something that were pretty rare to find. But I think we've got some pretty handsome quantity of birds that have come in, and I guess a lot of people now own proper Gloucesters and proper agates that have been shipped from abroad. Sexing, this is always a biggest challenge when it comes to canaries. It takes a bit of time and expertise to come to a conclusion with respect to canaries. The eye method, it's a common one that's followed around all the birds that we use. But I don't think it's pretty easy, unless or until you have the birds for a lot of time, and you have really the expertise to gauge on the eye level. So you can look at the picture that is shown. For a female, always the eyeball is always above the mid center of the beak, or the mouth. And for the male, it's always not exactly like how it's shown in the picture. It's either exactly on the center or slightly below, or is how I would describe it. The picture kind of says you need more expertise, but I would say for the males it's almost around exactly on the mouth, or just tends to drop below, is what I would say. But this needs a bit of practice. I personally feel that the vent sexing method is kind of easy, because it doesn't really take much time, and I believe with some time given to the birds and with some patience, you can easily find this out. Basically, if you can look at the picture on the left, you see a male and a female canary. Now, for a male, you would find that the vent has a small dropping, like a tube kind of a structure that comes out, which clearly distinguish between the female. For a female, the you don't see a dropping; rather, it is more pointed towards the tail, and you have a flat belly, which indicates that it's a female. The caution I would recommend here is some semi-adult birds, and I've seen birds that aren't in prime condition, uh, tend to act a bit crazy. Sometimes it's not really easy to get them. So if you want to sex canaries, after you purchased one, let them settle a bit. Start giving them some regular, whatever they need to fulfill their daily requirements, and immediately after that you'll be able to if you can look at their vent cleanly, you'll be able to see either the vent dropping or a flat belly kind of a structure that tells you if it's a male or a female. And we all know the classic method, the male sings, but I would rather not believe on that, because I've had some females that have been excellent singers, and what I've seen is these are passed on by generations. I've had one female who's been a beautiful singer, and the chicks that I've got from that particular bird have all been, even though they are females, they tend to sing exactly like males. So I wouldn't really go by that, but the saying goes that the singing of the male is more complete, and the female, the singing is kind of broken. It's not complete as of the male. But once again, that needs a bit of practice, and every canary and every male that sings have a different pitch and a different tone that they produce. So it's going to be a bit hard. I would rather suggest people to go by the when sexing method, which I believe, kind of clearly tells them how to get started with. And of course, we all have now that, we are not in the older ages, like in 5 6 years back. We didn't have an option. When I purchased canaries, I had to take 4 or 5 birds, so that I can at least land up with one or two females, or a mixed combination, so that I can at least get a pair. But I think now things have become pretty easy. We have the laboratories, and in every part of India, it's become easy to do a DNA sexing as well. So, how to pick the birds? This has been a pretty topic, and one that I've personally felt where people do some mistakes. I personally, I've made a lot of mistakes when I started with. When I go into buying some birds, we usually get carried away, or a lot carried away, because of the color, texture of certain birds, and we really don't focus on their the quality and their health. So whenever you are in the process of buying new birds, always look for the bird's activeness. That's the first factor that should be a deciding one to see if that bird, you need to own that or not. And healthy birds are always active, and they have their vibrant colors on them. You need to have the texture, and the feathers all need to be in place. Probably, you shouldn't be seeing broken feathers, or loose feathers all around. And with canaries, I would always suggest people to check on the legs and beaks, which are the common areas where a canaries show signs of illness. Basically, they have scaly legs or scaly faces, and that clearly indicates that the bird is, though it's acting normal, it could have some underlying issues. And I would always suggest try buying birds that are locally bred. And the reason why I pick up on this is because I've personally, back then when I started 5 6 years ago, when you want to go for some new varieties of canaries, you didn't have much people supplying it, or people who are breeding it. So there was, we had to rely on birds that are being imported. Now the birds that are being imported always come with a toll. It's not so easy. And keep in mind, all these birds, canaries are prone to colder climates, and they get directly imported from Netherlands, Belgium, and France, and all these places where the climate is a lot more cooler than what it is in the subcontinents. So when you get these birds, what I noticed is, or even what I'm seeing now, is you need to give them at least 6 to 8 months of time for the birds to get settled in. And I would say in those 8 months, you look at the bird, it's a kind of survival stage, is what I would say. The bird has to go through an enormous pressure of adapting to your new climate, humidity, your surroundings, food, etc. So it's a very difficult stage for a bird, especially for the canaries that are coming in from a very, very, very colder climate. I've seen there are documentations where canaries have survived, minus degrees temperatures in the out, or in the wild. And when you bring them into subcontinent, you're exposing them into a consistent heat, so heat of, or almost around 24 to 34 35 degrees Celsius within India, and with a humidity level that's always going to be around 60 to 70%, I would say. So it's, whenever you buy birds from outside, you got to wait patiently and make sure that they pass on the critical 8 months, so that they get fully adapted, and get become a local bird, and that's when you kind of start the breeding process, or move further ahead about conditioning and other things. But locally bred birds come in with this advantage. I've sent birds to some of my friends in Mumbai and other places, and what I've noticed is after even a stressful 2 day travel and all that stuff, immediately once the birds reached, I've seen the males singing immediately, and I've got videos. Once in an hour or two after the birds landed, they were saying, you know what, your bird is already singing, man. That's terrific, right? We really love to see birds do that. That's a sign that the bird is healthy. It doesn't really panic on the situation or the climate. That's the advantage of buying local birds. And when you buy from breeder, you have this advantage of asking them to give two birds from different parents and different lineage, so that you don't land breeding birds from the same lineage, and finding deficiencies in the first or the subsequent clutches of birds that you try and breed. So that's pretty uh, uh, I would say a very important one before you go and start purchasing your birds. This the reason why I insist on this particular topic is this is also going to decide upon the time amount of time you might have to spend trying to save a bird, or trying to recover a bird. The once you pick the right birds and you know what you're doing, the amount of stress and pain the bird and you have to go through trying to save them is going to be lesser. Moving on. So like I said, do not compromise on, don't go by the color, the sex, or whatever it is. Like, sometimes you just want to look at a color and say, you know what, this looks really great, let me buy it. That's not how you buy a bird. You look at the quality, than the color or the appearance.